Hey, what's going on, guys? So I know it's been about maybe 1 or 2 weeks since I uploaded my last video. In the previous video, I looked over the Green Lantern by Geoff Johns Omnibus #1. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend you do go take a look at it, because, well, this one's about Volume 2. So, Green Lantern Omnibus by Geoff Johns, Volume 2. This omnibus, I must say, I was quite impressed with it. It definitely held up in comparison to the first one. If anything, I think it improved in terms of storytelling and quality altogether. Um, and of course, it has the brightest or blackest night event, so that's pretty essential. Now, let's first of all, you guys are probably wondering what this collects. This collects Green Lantern 26 through 52. Final Crisis Rage of the Red Lanterns #1, and Blackest Night 0 through 8. So, the Green Lantern tie-ins for the Blackest Night are there, and then you got Blackest Night, you've also got Final Crisis, Rage of the Red Lanterns tie-in. To give you an overview of the book, as you can tell, they were basically being like, yeah, this is Blackest Night. Got all the color schemes here, got Hal Jordan in the front. I really do love this art here. It is spectacular. Same sleeve cover on the edge here as the other Omnis, so pretty typical. And on the back it just says, "Across the universe, the dead will rise." Basically just kind of like talking about, you know, out of the ashes, the seven corpses will rise, all this stuff about how Blackest Night was set up, which happened in the first Omni. This is what it looks like with the sleeve off. Pretty decent art. I like seeing Hal Jordan with a lantern there. This book itself is, I want to say it's a little bit bigger or around the same size as the first Omni for Green Lantern by Geoff Johns. So it is a little heavy. It is a brick. As like this is one of the bigger Omnis. I just ordered the Blackest Night one. That'll be arriving soon. It's even bigger than this one, but it is pretty big. So of course, when you're reading, there will be gutter loss. It's not too bad. I mean, like here, you can see Hal Jordan kind of go from this side to this side, but like it's definitely there, and like you can see the Flash's foot too. Like once you get to the center of the book, it's not bad at all. On the other hand, when you're earlier on in the book, it's pretty noticeable just because you can't open it up as much. Here's a Hal Jordan as a Red Lantern. Such amazing art in this story. For the art alone, I would recommend reading this series. It also just gives a great like starting, more like general information about characters that you would continue like following. Oh, here's Hal Jordan as an orange lantern as a cover. Kind of just went one all over the place, eh? Got some black lanterns up in here. So, I mean, it's a good read. It's a little heavy on the hand. You probably couldn't hold it in your hand. Oh, here's a good example of maybe some gutter loss. Ugh. This is Batman's Black Lantern. Batman's. Um, it's good, but like you can tell the loss is there, and it's unfortunate that it is, but it's still beautiful. Oh, here's the same cover as from, well, not the same cover, slightly different. So, this book essentially does everything, it covers everything from the first Omni up until the end of Blackest Night. I believe this book finishes off with just like the resolution of the Blackest Night. Yeah, it does. Like, it basically just ends off on like, yay, it's over. With a little bit of like, you know, kind of like pretense of things could still happen in the future, which, you know, it does. If you read this book or you read Blackest Night, I highly recommend reading Brightest Day, which I'll probably be covering the 3 volumes in one of my next videos, as it is basically part. It's, if you were looking at a Green Lantern reading order, I'd say Brightest Day is like essential, because when you finish Blackest Night, it's kind of just like, okay, there's a resolution here, but I feel like there's still things that need to like kind of come to a close, and Brightest Day does that. It sets up a bunch. It sets up new characters. It kind of gives you a proper resolution for any kind of like smaller things that occurred in Blackest Night. So I'd say definitely, if you can, pick up those 3 volumes. If somehow you can find an affordable copy of the Omni, which is currently out of print, that. The only reason why I got the volumes is just they were so much easier to find than the Omni. Um, the Omni has been out of print for a while, and I'm not sure if it'll ever come back into print, considering they just released a box set. So there's no real way of knowing if they're willing to put that kind of resources in when they already have a way that people can collect all that information, and it gets them more. But yeah, so this book, overall, solid read. When I first read the Blackest Night series or run, like the 8-issue run, 0 through 8, I read it in a DC Essential book. And honestly, when it comes to Blackest Night, it's just one of those events you need more context for, or you want as much context as possible to really understand what you're reading. When I originally read Blackest Night, I thought it was really cool, but I was completely lost. There were things that they'd refer to, and yes, they'd briefly touch on it to kind of give you some explanation, but like also there was like a lot of like obvious like pretense and stuff that you missed. And the Green Lantern Omni #2 definitely filled a lot of those gaps. It gave you a lot of information, right? Because Blackest Night is, although it's a major crossover, and it is without a doubt very Green Lantern based, because it's all just a spectrum of different lantern lights, and trying to fight against this evil Black Lantern and all the powers that they have. And it's really, there's a lot of like curves and curveballs and stuff like that. But like reading with the Green Lantern tie-ins and small bits of information, it helps a lot. It provides a lot of content. And that's why I just bought the Blackest Night Omnis, because I realized, I'm like, wow, getting to just read the Green Lantern tie-ins enriched the experience so much already. What would it be like to just have the Omni? And I got the Omni at a pretty good price, only like 105 or something, 105 before tax. So 105 Canadian. So it was pretty affordable considering it's a 195 Omni usually, regular. So that's on the way. It'll be here around 1st of March. Maybe I'll review that once I'm done. I'm not really sure because he's kind of overlap, double dipping there. But if you guys do want me to review that, do let me know. I'm also planning on possibly doing a review on my statue collection, which you can't see. It's out of frame up there. But it's not big. It's a growing collection, right? Just started. And I also did receive a comment in my previous video to do a review on Geoff Johns' The Flash. I am without a doubt all for doing that. Thing is, I kind of want to do it in terms of chronological order, so I was thinking of doing Mark Waid, then Geoff Johns. The thing is, Mark Waid book 6 for some reason seems to be like unavailable everywhere. I have 1 through 5. I'm ready to get 7. I'm ready to pre-order 8. 6 is just not anywhere. I've looked online, I've looked on eBay, I've looked on Amazon. Like, it is not anywhere. I'm gonna have to start looking at local comic book shops. I already have looked at a couple. Can't find it anywhere. But yeah, rest assured, Flash reviews will be coming out. I'm not sure when, because it all comes down to how much time I have to read, and stuff like that. One thing that was a little frustrating was, while I was reading this Green Lantern run, they all of a sudden just brought up the fact that Batman was dead. They gave some pre-context and like explained kind of how it happened, but ultimately like there wasn't a lot there for me to understand what happened, and I hate not having proper context of things while I'm trying to comprehend them. So while reading this, that was a little bit frustrating. About like maybe a quarter way through the Omni, I was just kind of like, okay, I get it. Dead. I have no clue why. It's a bit frustrating that I don't. Yeah, and I was considering getting the Final Crisis and Infinite Crisis Omnis, but those are just so expensive. So I'm just going to take a look at the actual paperbacks first and see how I feel about them. I just got them in. So I have Final Crisis and Infinite Crisis. Infinite Crisis was another event by Geoff Johns, which is also heavily referred to in terms of people dying, and basically this entire book, and in the first book as well, they refer to like previous deaths and stuff like that if you haven't read before, you don't really have a lot of context. And then it's like, whoa, what do you mean these people are dead and now they're coming back as Black Lanterns? Like they refer to things, and it's not that you can't read this on its own. You can. I'm just the kind of guy who prefers to have as much context as possible about what I'm reading. So I think once I read Final Crisis and Infinite Crisis, then I'll have a better kind of hold on what I was reading. It wasn't hard to understand. I loved it. It was really well written. I think just the constant references to the death of Batman, It was really frustrating because I had no clue he died. I went from comic books where in previous Omni, and I think in this Omni early on, where Batman was alive and well, doing his thing, brooding all the time. And then it's like, yeah, Batman's dead, dude. That sucks. He got buried next to his parents. Oh shit, there's a grave digger out there. We should be careful. Like that. I don't know. But yeah, overall, Green Lantern Omnibus #2, absolutely stellar read. I would recommend it to anyone who is interested in the Green Lantern run. Honestly, I think all three Omnis are great. I haven't even read the third one yet, but if it follows what the first two have presented to me, I am absolutely ready to delve into. And I'm also really excited because I have a lot to read for the Flash. I've got the life story of the Flash, which is basically just like a memoriam of him after Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then I've also got Mark Waid 1 through 5. I want to get 6, can't find it anywhere. And then I've also got the 2 Omnis for Geoff Johns' Flash. So I will be reviewing those as I read them. Usually, I'll probably read them. If they're Omnis, I'll probably review them as I read them. So once I finish an Omni, I'll review it. If it's paperback runs like Mark Waid, I'll probably wait till I've read the majority of the run or all of it, and then I'll touch on it. But let me know what you guys want me to review, because I have a lot that I haven't even touched on this channel. Up there, down here, Tom King's Batman run. There's a lot of stuff I could review if someone's really interested in it, and I'm more than willing to do so. So yeah, it's good to know what you guys want, because then I can make content that you guys enjoy and that I enjoy making. Ultimately, I loved this book. If you want to pick it up, there will be a link in my bio to Amazon to purchase it, but honestly, I'm not sure if it's the smartest move. Amazon delivered this book. Came from a third-party seller, I believe, because I got it at a discount, but you can see the corners are dented, and it's a frustrating process because my first Omni also had some kind of dent on the spine, and it was very noticeable. Frustrating process, but, like, I don't know. When it comes down to it, I'm not too concerned about reselling some of these things. And ultimately, the thing that you see the most on the shelf is the spine, and the spine looks just fine, so I wasn't too worried about this. The first one was a bit irritating because you see the spine's damaged. It's got, like, a rip on it. But ultimately, yeah. The link will be in the bio. If you haven't seen my previous video on the Green Lantern Omnibus #1, I would highly recommend you watch that video. It'll give you some context to this review. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are staying safe and healthy among this whole pandemic. I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Probably Flash or more Green Lantern content coming your way. Have a good one, guys.